Welcome to our Try Everything session for German startup ecosystem and European strategies for Korean startups. My name is Christine. I'm Director of Sustainability at 123 Factory, and I'll be your moderator for this session. We're thrilled to have you join us for an exciting and insightful day filled with presentations and a panel discussion. Before we begin, let me briefly outline the structure of the session. We'll start with presentations that introduce German startup ecosystem and provide insights for global partnerships for Korean startups. This session aims to connect the German and Korean startup ecosystem and offer guidance to Korean startups entering into European and German market. We have two speakers today. Our first speaker, Eun-seo Lee, who is the CEO of 123 Factory, connecting German and Korean startups, will talk about global partnerships for Korean startups. Our second speaker, Sebastian, who is the Investment and Innovation Director of the Drivery, which is the biggest mobility hub in Europe, will talk about German mobility startup ecosystem and investment trends. Now, I'm excited to introduce our first speaker, Eun-seo, the CEO of 123 Factory. Please join me in welcoming Eun-seo to stage.
Hello everyone, my name is Eun-seo Lee. Nice to meet you, and thank you for inviting me. Such a big stage, and I could see all of you that you're, I think, 100% Korean, if I'm not wrong. So I would like to pitch my presentation in Korean. That's for our audience. Oh, sorry, but there is a translator. You can put on the translator because I would like to give you such a big energy about our real story in Germany with a lot of Korean startups. So it's better to give my energy with my native language. Thank you. Thank you for understanding. 네, 안녕하세요. 저는 123 팩토리 이은서라고 하고요. 잠깐 앞에 소개를 드렸듯이 베를린에서 활동하고 있는 한국 스타트업 엑셀러레이터입니다. 오늘 이 자리에서 여러분들께 전해드릴 내용은 한국 스타트업이 독일 진출하기 위한 다양한 전략들에 대해서 얘기를 드릴 텐데 가장 중요한 내용을 좀 저의 에너지를 담아서 전해드리기 위해서 한국어로 진행을 하도록 하겠습니다. 일단 많은 한국 스타트업들이 독일에 진출하기 위해서 또 글로벌 진출하기 위해서 많이 노력을 하고 있는 것 같습니다. 대부분의 한국 스타트업들이 진출하고 있는 이 지역이 실리콘밸리에 몰려 있습니다. 여기 보이시는 자료는 코트라 자료인데요. 많은 한국 스타트업들이 글로벌 진출에 가는 지역이 정해져 있다라고 하는 것은 그 지역에 대한 어떤 정보가 아직은 미국 쪽에 좀 집중되어 있기 때문이라고 생각을 합니다. 대부분의 스타트업들 중에 한 절반 정도는 거기 현지에서 창업한 스타트업이고요. 나머지가 한국에서 이제 본사가 있고 해외로 나가는 스타트업입니다. 그런데 우리가 글로벌 진출이 굉장히 어렵다라고 생각을 하고 있는데요. 그 이유는 바로 정보의 차이에서 있다라고 말씀을 드리고 싶습니다. 아주 극단적인 예를 하나 가지고 와봤는데요. 이 내용은 한국과 미국의 인구 밀도가 얼만큼 차이가 있느냐 하는 내용입니다. 일단 한국을 보면 한 1제곱킬로미터당 530명의 사람이 살고 있고 미국에는 한 37명이 살고 있습니다. 숫자만 봐도 매우 극단적인 것을 알 수가 있죠. 이게 무엇을 의미하는가? 스타트업들께서 글로벌 진출하기 위해서 반드시 기억해야 되는 이런 데이터라고 볼 수가 있는데요. 중간에 이렇게 빨간색 네모로 쳐져 있는 것이 한 거기 중간쯤 되는 독일의 상황이라고 볼 수 있습니다. 약 300명 정도, 그 제곱킬로미터당 300명 정도 살고 있는데요. 우리는 생각보다 기본적인 데이터에 대해서 많이 고려를 안 하고 글로벌 진출하게 되는 것 같습니다. 하지만 이 데이터가 의미하는 건 바로 여러분들께서 어떤 제품을 다루는 스타트업이든지 아니면 어떤 사람들에게 IT 솔루션을 제공하던 스타트업이든지 이게 물류와 어떤 거점을 매니지먼트하는 그런 내용, 그다음 마케팅 이런 것들에 모두 다 영향을 미치는 데이터라고 볼 수 있습니다. 한 장소에 사람들이 모여 살고 있기 때문에 쿠팡 로켓 배송이 가능한 것처럼 사람들이 정말 멀리 떨어져 살고 있다면 우리가 생각하는 여기에서 제공하는 한국 서비스가 글로벌에서는 워킹하지 않을 수 있다라고 하는 것을 생각을 해볼 수 있습니다. 두 번째 생각하셔야 될 거, 이 그래프는 굉장히 많이 쓰이는, 글로벌 진출을 하셨을 때 많이 쓰이는 데이터이기도 한데요. 여러분들이 해외에 진출한다라고 가정했을 때 또 고려하셔야 될 것이 현지에 거점을 세우고 거기에서 실제 사람을 채용하는 것에 대한 시나리오를 생각하셔야 됩니다. 그런데 저희가 있는 독일, 그 다음에 여러분이 지금 계시는 한국이 정말 극과 극에 위치해 되어 있다고 보시면 되는데요. 가장 일을 적게 하고 연봉 수준이 좀 높은 곳이 독일입니다. 그런데 위에서 보시다시피 맨 위에 있는 곳이 이제 멕시코고요. 그 바로 아래쯤 한 두 번째 정도 랭킹에 위치하고 있는 것이 한국입니다. 다시 말해서 가장 많이 일을 하고 한 중간 정도 수준의 샐러리를 받는 그런 지역에서 우리는 스타트업을 하고 있습니다. 그런데 만약에 이 스타트업들이 글로벌 진출한다라고 했을 때, 특히 완전히 최하단에 위치한 독일에 진출한다라고 했을 때 바로 부딪히는 문제가 현지 직원을 채용하고 그 직원을 매니징하고 또 현지 직원들이 만나는 고객사와 미팅을 하고 그 하는 시간들이 여기에 있는 샐러리와 워킹 아워에 반영된다고 보시면 됩니다. 이미 글로벌 진출하신 스타트업들은 많이, 또는 글로벌 진출을 태핑해 보셨던 스타트업들은 많이 경험하셨을 겁니다. 크리스마스 기간 2주 동안 일 안 하고, 부활절 기간 또 2주 동안 일 안 하고, 여름 휴가 가면 한 3주에서 4주 쭉 바캉스를 다녀오는 그런 문화 속에서 우리가 어떤 리듬을 가지고 글로벌 진출하기 위한 스타트업들이 준비를 해야 되는가, 이 데이터에서 명확하게 보여집니다. 그래서 제가 오늘 드릴 말씀은 딱 한 가지입니다. 글로벌 진출을 하기 위해서 여러분들이 하셔야 될 것은 아주 기본적인 데이터를 가지고 정말로 우리가 이 시장에 진출할 만한가, 그 타당성을 점검해 보시는 거고요. 정말 기본적인 내용이지만 리서치 이 세 가지를 강조드리고 싶습니다. 저는 지난 3년에서 5년 동안 한국에서 독일 진출한 스타트업에서 직원으로 일을 해봤고, 한국에서 독일 진출한 스타트업을 돕기 위한 엑셀러레이터도 일을 많이 해봤지만, 돕기 위해서 처음에 세팅하는 내용뿐만 아니라 이미 한 2년에서 3년 동안 독일에서 굉장히 많은 고배를 마시고 한국 스타트업의 법인을 정리하는 것까지도 많이 도움을 드려봤습니다. 생각보다 세팅하는 것도 어렵지만 이 법인들을 정리하고 돌아가는 내용은 더더욱 처참하고 더더욱 시간이 많이 걸리고 비용이 많이 드는 일입니다. 그래서 오늘 제가 드릴 이 말씀을 하나, 바로 리서치를 기반으로 한 정확한 스트래테지를 세우시라고 하는 겁니다. 어떤 리서치가 기본이 되어야 되느냐? 독일을 예로 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 독일이 어떤 나라인지 일단 알아야 되겠죠. 우리나라에 보다는 GDP 비율이 높고 실업률은 높습니다. 스타트업 밀도로 보면 굉장히 높고요. 그 다음에 펀딩 가능성을 보면 우리나라하고 비교해 봤을 때 거의 유사한 수준이라고 볼 수 있습니다. 글로벌 흐름에 따라서 팬데믹 이후로 스타트업 투자 건수는 많이 줄었지만 볼륨으로 보자면 우리나라보다 스타트업에 투자하는 투자 금액은 굉장히 높은 편입니다. 이 시장에 여러분들이 들어온다라고 가정을 했을 때 어떤 기업들, 어떤 스타트업들이 여기에서 아주 활발하게 잘 활동하고 있는지도 한번 살펴보셔야 됩니다. 가장 맨 윗단에 있는 곳이 당연히 IT 정보통신 분야의 스타트업이고요. 그 다음이 제약, 푸드, 그 다음에 자동차, 에너지, 이렇게 순서대로 스타트업들이 많이 활동을 하고 있습니다. 내용적으로 보면 가장 독일에 어울릴, 또는 가장 독일에 좀 가능성을 찾아보실 수 있는 부분은 기존의 전통 산업과 조화를 이루어서 가는 그런 스타트업, 특히 자동차, 제약, 에너지, 이 분야는 독일의 전통 대기업들이 매우 잘하고 있는 분야입니다. 더더욱이 강조드리고 싶은 것은 독일의 70% 이상의 스타트업이 B2B 비즈니스를 하는 스타트업입니다. 그만큼 1대1로 소비자를 만나는 그런 서비스보다는 독일의 기업들의 직접 솔루션을 제공할 수 있는 이런 스타트업들이 의미가 있다고 볼 수 있을 것 같고요. 작년으로 보았을 때 여러분들이 의미 있게 봐야 되는 그런 내용들도 있습니다. 먼저 스타트업 분야에서 탑3 분야의 산업을 말씀드리면 지속 가능성 분야, 그 다음에 디지털 혁신 분야, 소프트웨어 분야, 이런 분야를 보실 수 있고요. 그 다음에 유니콘 기업이 이렇게 3개가 있습니다. B2B 기업, B2B 스타트업들이 많다 보니까 M&A로 엑시트하는 사례도 우리가 크게 한번 살펴보실 수 있을 것 같습니다. 작년에 M&A 사례로 가장 크게 나왔던 내용이 리닉스라고 하는 소프트웨어 스타트업이고 SAP에 약 우리나라 돈 규모로 한 1조 5천억 원에 인수된 사례가 있습니다. 지역별로 살펴보면 저희가 있는 베를린이 스타트업이 가장 많은 지역이고요. 시 단위로는 베를린이 가장 크지만 주 단위로는 서쪽에 위치한 여러분에게도 익숙한 본, 쾰른, 뒤셀도르프가 위치한 NRW 지역이 가장 스타트업의 활동이 많은 곳입니다. 베를린은 유럽 스타트업의 허브로 국제적인 스타트업이 활동하기 위해 가장 좋은 무대이고요. 그리고 뮌헨 지역은 돈이 많고 대기업이 많고 자동차 기업이 많은 지역으로 아주 활발한 활동을 하고 있습니다. 시간이 아주 많지는 않기 때문에 제가 오늘 드릴 내용만 간단하게 말씀드리고 넘어가도록 하겠습니다. 여기 한 장 제가 오늘 드리려고 나왔습니다. 그게 뭐냐면 독일의 대기업이 요즘에 어떻게 협력하느냐 하는 내용인데요. 바로 요즘에는 모든 글로벌 대기업이 그렇듯 굉장히 위축되어 있는 시기입니다. 다시 말해서 직접적으로 스타트업에 투자하는 그런 케이스는 많이 줄어들었고요. 스타트업의 솔루션을 바로 구매해서 본인들이 클라이언트가 되겠다라고 하는 벤처 클라이언팅 모델에 대해서 여러분들이 한번 살펴보실 필요가 있습니다. 다시 말하면 완전히 시드 단계나 제품이 준비되지 않은 단계의 경우에는 첫 번째 보여드렸던 자료처럼 현지에 오셔서 직접 창업을 했을 때 현지 정부의 지원을 받아서 진행되는 그런 내용들에 훨씬 더 가능성이 있다고 보고요. 한국에서 진출하는 스타트업의 경우는 현지에 투자를 받는다거나 하는 방향보다는 대기업의 직접 서비스와 솔루션을 제공해서 클라이언트로 맞이하겠다라고 하는 방향, 특히 기업의 이름으로 찾아서는 여러분이 모르기 때문에 여기 아우디의 어떤 벤처 클라이언팅 그룹에서 아우디와 협력할 스타트업을 이렇게 구하고 있는지 이런 것들을 좀 보실 필요가 있습니다. 그래서 마지막으로 말씀을 드리자면 자동으로 넘어가는데요. 한국에서 오시는 스타트업들하고 한국에서 오시는 스타트업들이 독일과 협업하기 위해서 가장 중요한 내용은 독일의 대기업이 어떤 것들을 지금 고객사로서 맞이할 준비를 하고 있는가, 그런 것들을 리서치를 하시고요. 그 다음에 지역적으로 어떤 곳에서 자리 잡는 것이 가장 좋은가, 특히 중앙 집권적으로 이렇게 파리에 몰려있는 프랑스하고는 완전히 다른 생태계이기 때문에 그런 부분에서 충분한 리서치를 바탕으로 오시기를 권해드립니다. 저희 옆에 바로 독일 부스에서 제가 독일 스타트업, 한국에서 독일 진출하려고 하는 스타트업들하고 함께 이렇게 있으니까요. 많은 방문 부탁드리겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you so much for your wonderful insights. I'm usually very strict about time limit, but she's my boss, so I couldn't cut her off. Thanks for understanding. And next up, we have Sebastian, the Investment and Innovation Director of the Drivery. Please welcome Sebastian to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. As already introduced, I'm Sebastian. I'm the Director of Investments and Innovation Programs and the Global Lead of the Drivery. And I will tell you a little bit what we as a Drivery are doing. That's wrong. No, we're starting. So what we do as a Drivery is literally we are a global ecosystem for mobility innovators. That means we consolidate a lot of different innovators, again, a lot of innovators in the global ecosystem. And how I started as a Drivery is pretty simple. I was founder by myself and an investor in the scene, so I invested and I found own companies, and my last investment was my biggest company. It was a software company for automotive OEMs. And literally, I got an exit last year, and so I stepped over from the startup side again to the corporate side and helped the Drivery to work. And literally, the Drivery, as I said, is based in Berlin. There is a flagship right now. Perhaps we will figure it out.
Next page.
Yeah.
Back page.
Okay. Perfect.
Back page.
Perfect. And as you see, we right now have around 15,000 square meters of space in the Trivery and around 300 mobility startups located in the Trivery. And as I said, we started in Berlin, but we also located in Korea, in Japan, and in China. And help startups collaborate with corporates. I think you already had some sessions about open innovation and venture clienting. It's exactly where we set in. So we have a big ecosystem, and with this ecosystem, we also interconnect them with the startups.
잠시만 누르지 말고 기다리세요. 양해 말씀.
Next one.
I'm sorry about the slides. Give us 1 second.
Yeah. I just keep going. Yeah, I think. Thanks. Yes, exactly. And this is why we're quite awesome and outstanding right now in the German ecosystem, especially also in the European ecosystem, because we provide kind of infrastructure, we provide the ecosystem, we provide the startups, and this is kind of a magic fit of venture clienting, so bringing together corporates and startups. And given that fact, in the last 5 years, we fundraised together in the ecosystem around $6 billion of funding. So literally, we had 3 unicorns, we had an IPO of $2.1 billion, so quite a huge success story. And it just works because we had a good head start. We collaborate with literally every big OEM and tier 1 supplier in the world. We also collaborate with Hyundai and Kia, also some Japanese and Chinese OEMs and tier 1s, especially the European. I also was requested a little bit what we're doing literally in the Trivery and what are the startups about, because I say mobility innovation hub, that's kind of a buzzword. Literally, it's from leg prosthetics up to hydrogen air taxis. So that means we have startups which doing more or less really hardware assets, some doing some software, others doing some other stuff like drones and air taxi, robotics. And given that fact, we got a lot of insights of the startups, and that's why we're also investing since the last year. That's my other role. So whenever we see a good startup, we investing in them. So you can see a glimpse of the portfolio. We have much more, obviously. We have 300 right now, but 4 of them are represented here. We also have some portfolio companies. Alexandra, which will also join me on the stage later for the panel, is also a portfolio company of us. As well, we have also other startups and corporates. And how we help also Korean startups to come to Europe, and also Europe startups come to Korea is like by our global network. We work with local partners and also expand. So if we have a market traction, we literally build new Triveries, like we do also right now in Korea. So we signed together with the city of Seoul, MWU, to start a Trivery also in Korea, and this is exactly how we interact and build landing pads literally. And the easiest way to do that for startups is by projects. That means we always try to find a project partner, mostly on the corporate side, that they can work together, because this is literally what a startup needs. They need traction, they need like proof in the pudding, they need POCs, and it's exactly where we're helping and interconnecting. And I also was asked to give a really, really short overview what's happening in Berlin and why Europe is also good to come as a mobility startup. And I think Unse also gave a short overview, and that's just overwhelming by purpose. So you see, literally, we cover a lot of different topics. We're quite big in different micromobility infrastructural solutions. EV is obviously right now a pressing topic. But what we can also observe in Europe is right now a total new dynamic. 10 years before, we not were observing it. It's a Chinese speed. It's like how we call it. We have a giant market movement right now out of China. A lot of innovations, especially in the EV and autonomous driving ecosystem, and that obviously pressures especially the European ecosystem and automotive companies to collaborate and innovate much quicker. That means literally they have to work now with startups. I don't know which of you right now a startup, and especially in mobility, but it's really hard to collaborate with the big players like Hyundai, Kia, Volkswagen, and so on. But right now they are forced because they're a little bit too late at the party, especially for EV, autonomous driving, software-defined vehicle. I mean, we see right now good front runners in China, how it's done right, how a company is created just around the software. And this is why we exactly need now to keep up with this pace. And I observed the same, or nearly the same, in Japan as well in Korea. And also in Europe, where you have an established old car manufacturing industry, but was a little bit too slow to adapt to the new speed. And I also try to show a little bit the differences in Germany. We are a small country, but quite diverse. So we have 16 states. Also showed that we have a lot of different locations. We have not a centralized hub, but different parts in Germany which are covering startups. But mostly for mobility and automotive, you can see that the biggest hubs are in Berlin and Munich. And then you can also see a north-south divergence. This is like in the north, in Berlin, you have much more software. In the south, you have much more hardware-related companies and startups. So you can see a lot of software-based startups go to Berlin, and a lot of hardware-related, a little bit more automotive-related companies goes normally to south of Germany, so Munich or Stuttgart, so in the south. And we, again, cover a lot of different topics. These are names of startups which gain the unicorn status. And you can see in mobility, they literally really diverse. We have not just software companies which are unicorns, but literally in different fields, from drones, from autonomous driving, from micromobility, like scooters, up to trucking technologies. And we observed at the Triary also kind of a new normal in mobility, because digitalization is everything right now. We observe that, like, especially in underserved markets where no one is thinking about, like in trucking, excavators, special purpose vehicles, there are no solutions, new solutions. So literally startups have a giant possibility to get into these niches and cover these markets, because literally these markets are really old-fashioned, really traditional, not really innovative, but they are forced now to get innovative by digitalization. You see also a big trend of urbanization, so literally people coming from the land to the city, and the city have to be more livable. New ways of mobility have to develop. We have a lot of cars in the cities as well, I mean, a lot of traffic jam, and therefore we search for new solutions, different transportation, last mile solutions, stuff like that. And obviously sustainability is quite pressing. I mean, we experience this every day. It got hotter, it got more humid, the extreme weathers are a little bit more pressing, and that's exactly why sustainability is so important. This is exactly with the EV trend, electrical vehicle trend, also now a circular economy trend comes in, like how you can reuse batteries, how you can give a second or third life, how you can establish smart grid systems to cover the energy peaks, stuff like that. And especially there you can see is giant request right now, literally every customer of corporates from us requesting for solutions in the sustainability market. They're really searching for battery management systems, stuff like that. And what we overall see, what is a trend again, because I would say 10 years before it was a typical software is everything trend, everything is SaaS, everything is subscription, everything is scalable. You see a new trend again, that deep tech, like really heavy IP tech, academia tech, is quite important and quite interesting for a lot of investors, for a lot of corporates. And as always, I mean, you will experience as a startup for yourself. I mean, execution excellence is the most important part. How good you are performing what you promise, how quick you bring the product into the market. That's what we're observing right now, especially in mobility, and it becomes more and more important. So yeah, if you have any questions, if you want to come to Germany, if you want to cover the markets, get connections with our corporates, just reach out to me via the link, via LinkedIn, via mail, as you want. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sebastian, and I'm terribly sorry about the slides. You can actually stay at the stage if you want, because you're going to be the panelist. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to our panel discussion. I would like to introduce our esteemed panelists. First, we're going to be joined by Sebastian again. And second is Mr. Hyunse Lee. He's the Vice President of Autocrypt. It's an automotive cybersecurity company. The European headquarters is based in München and cover Germany, France, and Middle East. They support Korean automobile companies who are trying to reach out to European markets. Third, we're joined by Mr. Suhan Yoon, who's the CEO of eFlow. eFlow provides the solution for hydrogen fuel cell cargo mobility. They're currently carrying out POC with Airbus, and they're stationed in Station F in France. And last but not least, we're joined by Alexandra Mikityuk, who's the CEO of Stax. Stax is the network automation company, which is incubated from Deutsche Telekom, and they're cooperating with big companies, including Vintage Towers and Telefonica and Samsung. Please welcome. We will be discussing the German startup ecosystem, industry trends, advice for Korean companies entering into Europe, and their experiences and challenges in Germany. Please give them a warm welcome. Welcome, welcome. Make yourself at home. Hello, everyone. Can you check the microphone if they're all working? Hello, Sebastian. Yes. Yes.
I hope it's working. Yeah.
Yes. Suhan, is your microphone working?
Yeah, it's working.
Hello, Alexandra.
Hi.
Hello. Yes. So first, to open up the floor, please briefly introduce yourselves, including your company, and what activities you do in Germany. I think Sebastian talked enough, so we can start with Hyunse.
So my name is Hyunse Lee, VP for Europe of Autocrypt. So as the name suggests, we do the automotive cybersecurity solutions for European companies, but also the South Korean Tier 1 suppliers, OEMs, to get into the European cybersecurity regulations. So we're very happy to discuss the strategies of South Korean companies heading towards the European market. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. eFlow is provided to micromobility powertrain, and we are first company in the world. We are using so-called axial flux motor technology. And 2018, also we joined with hydrogen power because Korea is very initiative country in the world, and we are very lucky because we are a Korea company, and then right now we are combined with hydrogen fuel cells and together with our motors, and we apply to the micromobility. But unfortunately, in Korea, it's not big market for this one, but European country is big. So we provided to this solution to right now in the France and Germany, and we are also cooperation partners with Airbus and big company in Germany. So we are quite strong activity in European market right now.
Thank you. My name is Alexandra. Very happy to be here. Let me tell you a little bit about the journey, because Stax is a company. We're based in Berlin, Germany, also supported by Sebastian, as he presented. It's our investor. Great guys. We have actually been created inside Deutsche Telekom. It's one of the biggest telecommunication operators in Europe. And my background is in network engineering, and my dream was always to make the life of network engineers easier, simpler. So Stax provides network automation solutions for mostly bigger companies. So we create their networks, we help them to reduce time to market with their solutions. Currently we're working with bigger names in Europe, like Vintage Towers, Telefonica. So mostly it's in the utility sector. We provide solutions for companies that deploy their stations, hydrogen stations, electric charging stations in the field. Also working with drone companies, and basically everyone who has a little bit more complicated network setup. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for your introduction. I would like to ask our first question. It's in general, what do you think of Korean startup ecosystem? I'm sure Alexandra and Sebastian, you both had the Korean counterparts. What do you think in comparison to European or German startups? And for Suhan and Hyunse, as a Korean startup expanding into European market, what do you think of the Korean startups in general? Let's start with Sebastian.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, it has a reason why we also establishing a rivalry in Seoul. What we observe is, and what is really attractive for us, is we have a highly centralized market. So you literally have a big hub of innovation in one big city that's quite attractive. You don't have to travel too much when you once here. The second part is what we observe is that the market is different than in Europe. I would say in Germany, it's really typical that you have a decentralized market. The startups are spread around whole Germany. You have some hubs, yes, but you have not one giant metropolitan area where everything's located. And we have a giant SME scene, so a lot of small and mid-sized companies. In Korea, we observe there are much bigger players. And given that big players like Hyundai, Samsung, LG, you have literally a lot of IP carve-outs out of the corporate structure. That means you have already a lot of IP, a lot of assets, which they bring into the startup. You have a lot of academic IP. That means a lot of universities already collaborating with the big players. And that means they already developing technologies which leads into a use case, into a product for the market. So we have really suitable products, and this is super attractive for us as a rivalry and also as an investor to find startups which a little bit more mature in early stages and much more tech heavy. And that's something we like. It's our hypothesis to invest in, that you need tech heaviness. And by the way, that's also how every corporate wants to work with it. Don't want to work with a prototype or don't want to work on a POC level. I mean, they all want to go in an industrial scale. That means they need a product which is scalable and industry ready, kind of. And that's what we see is much more given right now in Korea, and this is why it's super attractive for us.
Yes, I think as a Korean, we're all perfectionists in a way. So I think it's very good that we are ready in our technology and all that. And Alexandra, I've heard that you've been to Korea multiple times, working for a different company and dealing with the Korean counterparts. What was your experience like dealing with them? And now as a startup, how is it different?
Right, so I think there is definitely cultural differences that have to be taken into account. And I think there is a ton of information about this cultural exchange. So, my advice would be mindful because I've done all the mistakes on that front. Also, I would say from the German perspective, I find the structure, how it's set up, the support for the startups very similar to how it's structured in Germany, which I extremely like because I can also repeat a lot of success that have been done with our company in Germany here on the ground. So the structure of governmental grants, governmentally set up entities, governmental support that supports you to work with big corporates, which I extremely like, and I also totally find it right what Sebastian said, that what we also feel, there is a lot of more openness for innovation. So I feel that we can test things faster. So even when I was working for Deutsche Telekom, we were collaborating with SK Telekom, and one of the first systems for access control that we built between Deutsche Telekom and SK Telekom, right? It was, again, German-Korean partnership. It was very beautiful work that we've done together. So I hope to repeat this experience also now as being a young company, as a startup. And I also feel that collaborating with companies from Korea can give this very strong boost, like, German, Korean products, with kind of a little bit more, I guess, tradition from the German manufacturing and great innovation from Korean market. Combining this, we can only be stronger together. So I can only ask everyone who provides solutions to approach us. We are there on the booth to discuss some collaboration opportunities.
Thank you so much. I think that's like I said, that's one of our strengths, that we're very quick to adopt and flexible for innovation. So thanks for your insights. Hyun-se, what do you think about Korean startup ecosystem as a Korean startup?
So, in terms of the differences, I think there are, besides the cultural differences, I think the structurally we quite share a lot of similarities in terms of how the fund of funds operate and how these government agencies support these newcomers in the industry. I think, and also since we share quite similar aspects in terms of how the international level, how the industry is currently operating, very manufacturing heavy, R&D heavy industries, they're currently implementing different innovations from startups. So I believe if you're a Korean founder, I think you'll be very accustomed to such activities that you interface with the German government institutions and also different financial institutions, different corporations. The one difference that I see is the push from the academia and research institutions that they're heavily involved in such commercialization, not just on paper, but actual commercialization activities in line with the SMEs, in line with the big established corporations, to have this startups and SMEs, to have this chance, not really maybe a big serious production projects, but rather for these SMEs to test out if they're gonna make such new technologies, test it out with a R&D push from the research institutions to make it out to the world. I think that is a difference that we have compared to South Korea and Germany. And as us, AutoCrypt has been very much involved in such R&D activities, and we're successful in getting our words out in the German market. I see that as the difference. Yeah.
Yes, Germany is also a very heavily manufacturing-based country, GDP in relation to GDP. But I think Korean startups were, like you said, it's a lot R&D based, and a lot of times it's a spin-off from institutes. So thanks for your insight. Suhan, do you have anything to add on to that?
Yeah, three of them and very good comment, but I have also a lot of ideas, approach, how we approach it to European market and so on. But today, I just only one is important thing is, as you know that what is our Korean people advantage is compared with the Europe's. This is we say most of foreigner they understand this dialogue say pali pali. So our people is willing to hardworking and they're going to faster. For example, I will attending to a European exhibition every year, 5 times a year. And I visited to Europe once a month. So because, and business is most important, not only technology. You must meet some right person, contact with the right company and the right locations, is exactly. When I visited to Germany, for example, once I driving to at least 2,500 kilometers within the 5 days because I want to contact to these customers, new customers, because we are business totally new technology. So this is our people has a really big advantage. So it's the same as the German people and Korean people same. For example, I'm located in Changwon. Some people from Germany, if they visited to me from Germany, then we got the feeling is, oh, these people really genius work or cooperate with us. It's same like in Germany, same. We visit to sometimes north of Germany, Hamburg, and the next day we are moving to Stuttgart and so on. We explain like that. Everybody really open and willing to start very, very open. So our startup is meaning we're challenging. So I would like to give you one thing on today. So your working behavior as in Korea, you're doing same behaviors in Europe. We have a really big possibility for success. This is what I want to say about this one.
Wow, that was very inspirational. Thank you. So now let's move on to investment side. So I'm going to have to ask Sebastian, as an investor, what are some points that if you are investing in Korean startup, what would you look into? And I'm gonna ask either Hyunse or Suhan, as a Korean startup, like how would you approach to the investor and the investment pitching? How is it different from Korea to European market? Sebastian?
Yeah, in general, my criteria is always the same. I mean, obviously, everyone will tell you team and stuff like that, but go a little bit more in detail. Especially from the team side, I'm always looking for a diverse team, not just by gender or race, but exactly by skills and by mentality. So you need different skill sets of people as a founder team. You need a more outgoing person, a more little bit focused person, a little bit more creative person. It's also the team topic is quite important. I prefer teams, not solo founders, to be honest, because they can back up each other, and I love this approach. I also founded myself in a team and also founded solo, so I know the differences, and I think in a team is always better. But it's just an opinion. I mean, if you can convince me that you alone the same as a team, then I'm also in. And you have to be a good tech marketer. That means what I observe, especially in Korea, but also in tech-heavy startups in Germany or Europe, is the people love that technology, obviously. They created it, they researched it, stuff like that. But you have literally transport the idea behind it, because you're not selling the tech, the technology, you're selling the product out of it. And the product is an important part, because this makes the money in the end. And I'm an investor in the end, not a tech lover, I'm an investor. So I want to make money with it. And I want that the startup makes a lot of money, that it's scalable, that they can collaborate with other companies. And that's mostly by a product, not by just a technology, because otherwise they would just collaborate with universities. So I search for people who can transform from technology to product. And that means also the CTO have to be capable to transform from a CTO to a CPO in the best case, or they have a team which can compensate it. And also, as I said, I'm also like when the tech people also are good marketing guys, like that they can literally transport the technology and what is behind the technology and why it's so awesome in a really easy way. Because, as I said, I'm an investor. I'm not a PhD. I not studied science. So I want to get convinced quite easy. And let's be honest, the decision makers in big companies who want to sell the product as a B2B company, they're exactly the same. They're decision makers. They're no scientists anymore. They just focus on quick decisions. That's one topic. The other topic is mostly the pitching style. And perhaps also something I observed, especially in Korea, is the pitches are quite long, quite detailed, especially in the beginning. But let's be honest, that mistake is not just doing Korean startups, but also German. Everyone is doing it who loves the tech, to accelerating way too long on the technology, going way too deep in the first meeting. I mean, if you do that in the due diligence process, it's fine. But it's the first meeting, you get to contact me. I mean, that's like an elevator pitch. I just need 1-2 minutes to understand what you're literally doing, what is the business model, and how you can enter the market. I don't have exactly know what is the technology in the first meeting. And then it's perhaps like a game. It's like level by level. You have to convince the different bosses, and the end boss is in the end an investment committee. And then you have to convince everyone, because my default answer, if you want investment, is no, always. This is like how I get trained, because I'm super risk averse. I have to, because it's a high risk investment. So that means you have to convince me why I should not say no. And if you're accelerating way too much on the technology, it makes no sense for me, because I want to see the business model, I want to see the market, I want to see the opportunities. And perhaps really short side fact is I'm not looking always for unicorns. I mean, this story you hear every time, every pitch, everyone will tell you, I will be the unicorn company. And unicorn is kind of an idolized topic. Everyone wants a $1 billion company. But why? I mean, why are you not just also creating a company which has 50, 100, 200 employees? This is already great. Or just 2 people. And if you're profitable, also great. So I'm way more looking into long-lasting, sustainable companies which can create value over time. And I'm not always searching for the quick exit or something like that, because this is not sustainable. You have to grow a company, build it up, and if you have technology, it needs time to transform it into product.
I cannot agree more on Korean startups. Sometimes we spend too much time on technology that we miss out the important information, which is the financial aspect. So yeah, definitely a different pitching style. Suhan, do you have anything to add on to like how fundraising experience is different from Korean side and German side? Or Hyunse, you can explain.
Yeah, 100% I agree with what Sebastian say. And when I was funding in Korea, when I start up and takes 4 years after we are first fundraising, but this is more like a detailed technical explain and so on. Then we are now ongoing of the funding in Europe is totally different what he say. And very beginning, nobody listened to me. And when I first, I remember 3 years ago, when I first pitching in Germany, I remember, this is Hannover Messe, as just during the round 5 minutes, 2 minutes later, more than 30% of people leave. Then I'm so nervous and so on. Then next year, somebody told me about, hey, you are talking too much detail. You should be about, of course, you must say about your key technology. Then you're making some kind of storytelling. So this technology is, of course, in the core, but all other thing is people listen to you. So anything you're making some storytelling, not for technology thing, then people impression, then coming. Because all pitching day, after this you have another open discussion time. Then people interested about what you're talking about, your history, then you approach it to you about, okay, hey Charlie, you are really good impression. Okay, what is your technology? Detail, tell me now. This is a second chance. So this is a little different in Korea, but recently also Korea is also pitching is a little bit changing like this. But in Europe, I understand is your technology core, but making good history within the 3-4 minutes. Then you have a more chance. This is my experience right now.
Thank you. Now, Alexandra, I have a question for you. So you've collaborated with some big corporations. How did it work? How did you get approached by them first? And how was the first talk with them? And how long the process was, etc.? How was your experience?
Right. So let me put it maybe like this. We've been extremely lucky because we are coming from a big corporate, and we had, I guess, extreme experience in how it's structured inside. I also, because I worked with a lot of corporates, I also knew which corporates not to approach. So I think it's also, there is a great book, I think it's called Dead by POC. So a lot of startups get into this trap of being dragged and pulled through longer POC processes. So for us, it was very important because there are corporates that are toxic. They're just not healthy for a startup, right? So you can really be dragged for 2 years inside a corporate. They learn what you're doing. And I was, because Stacks is doing also a lot of Web3 automation. And in the first year of Stacks, I also teach as a professor in one of the universities in Germany. I caught myself being on these longer sessions where all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, right? They are just learning so much information. And so just, being careful from this perspective. And usually our advice or our great success strategy was just to, put a bill on the table, right? So it was a really great test for us because we were working with one big corporate and they were, very excited about technology and wanted this feature and that feature. And they literally sent us like 70 features that they would like to see. And we send them back the bill. And, I don't want to say we never heard back from them, but all of a sudden, this is not such an important topic, etc. So we really started to say, look, it's our time. You don't want to work with us. Very simple. We don't work, without the budget. So we also kind of turned it around. This is kind of one side of things. And the second side of things, we figured out that because I was also part of the corporate, we as a startup need to help our supporter inside the corporate to bring us in. So sometimes they really want to do something. However, a corporate is like a little country, right? Some corporates, they have like 70K plus people working for them. So what we also figure out that sometimes if you go through marketing, department, even if it's like Stacks is a deep tech IoT solution. So we figure out that we started closing deals faster. So if it makes sense for them, some kind of, from the marketing perspective, even the tech people find it better just to kind of finance the project. And then we do the same work as we would do in a POC trial. So this is the second thing. And the third thing is partnerships. I can't stress it enough, what Sebastian said about the team. Like if you're able to build the team, you're able to build the long-term partnerships. Because we had a very hard year last year for startups in Germany, literally super bad. Because of the crisis, no one was getting funding. A lot of startups and companies went bankrupt. And what really helped us is the longer partnerships that we built. So basically, you know, good work, partnerships with the corporates. They supported us through the hard times, so that was very beautiful.
Thank you so much. I think a lot of Korean startups can resonate to what you just said because we're dreaming about working with big corporations, right? And then after we decided to do POC with them, it takes so long. So a lot of startups really get exhausted during that process. So yeah, thanks for your advice. And Suhan or Hyunse, do you have anything to add on to that?
Yeah, so as a automotive related firm, we have done, of course, a lot of POCs in terms of different software iterations and so on. And as Alexandra has mentioned, it is very important to set the right expectations at the start. So don't be dragged along with all of the different programs. Rather, you should set the right goals at the starting point. And in terms of different manufacturing and automotive, especially in the automotive space, there has been a lot of different cycles that are quite different from other industries, especially also compared to South Korean automotive cycles. So you have like 7 to 8 years platform change. A small iteration takes 3 to 4 years to actually make the iteration possible to actually make your startup profitable till the end of the cycle. So you need to be aware and set the right expectations for the POC, having in mind that such development and mass production projects do take time and to be integrated into the supply chain. Yeah.
Thank you. Sebastian, I have a question for you. Do you think there's a huge difference between German market and the rest of the European market? What are some comparative advantages that startups can choose Germany over other areas in Europe?
I think the biggest difference to France or UK, for example, which are the bigger other areas for startups, is the centralization. So France, you have Paris. I mean, 95% of the capital is in Paris. 90% of all the startups are in Paris. So it's quite nice for them. It's quite comfortable. The same in UK. You have London. London is more or less financial metropolitan area in Europe, but as well for a lot of startups. And as I said, Germany is really decentralized. So you have the north with Berlin and other areas. You have then West Germany, where also like one of our population densest states, never stated, they're called Nordrhein-Westfalen, but literally the densest populated area, also a lot of innovation happening. And then we have the south of Germany. And I think it's a quite huge advantage because you have different bubbles and different investors and different cooperation partners. They all have to find their own niche. That means they have much more opportunities, and they also have to present themselves to the startups also. Plus, what I also mentioned is the SME sector is quite huge in Germany. I mean, everyone knows Mercedes, Daimler, or Volkswagen, or something like that. But the reality is that's one company. We have over 30,000 different suppliers for car manufacturers. That means you have 30,000 other companies supplying to this one company. And that's a huge advantage to go to the smaller companies. And we have one of the highest density of family-owned billionaires and billionaire companies. That means that literally no one knows them, but they really specialize in one topic, in gears, in screws, in production facilities, and they make billions revenue every year. And that's quite interesting because they're family owned. That means the decision cycles, once decided, are much quicker because the owner meets the startups, he's impressed, and he says to his people, to his leadership team, I want this. And they have to do that. And then the sales cycle, I was also in automotive, is not like 2, 3, 4 years with upfront payments. No, it's literally when the owner wants it, then it's directly happening. Like in between of 4 weeks to 3 months. So that's quite, I think, interesting for a lot of startups, also out of Korea, where you have also a highly monopolized market with a lot of big corporates, which can also dictate a little bit the game, to a market where we're a little bit more like spread around and have also a lot of highly specialized different players in the market. I think this is quite interesting, and also compared to the whole European market, I think quite unique that we have this strong backbone of economy of like smaller companies, but I mean small is also from time to time 5,000 employees, but no one of us have ever heard of them.
Thank you. I'm going to ask 2 Korean startups, Hyunse and Suhan. What were the biggest hurdles entering into German and European market, and what advice would you give to Korean startups going global or going to German market? We're running out of time, but I'm going to give you 1 minute each.
Okay, biggest hurdle is, big difference in the culture. But also, why not we are willing to challenge this. So how we overcome this one, as I said beginning, you should be making most contact times. You know, in Europe, there's a lot of exhibitions. Recently, most of the major exhibitions, they have a startup corner. And during the time, they have also pitching schedule. It's very luckily in Korea, I think everybody know, we have a local government and central government. Recently, there are a lot of supporting to global programs. This budget is more than enough for we visit to Europe and get the chance for this kind of opportunity. Please do best for get this chance. Then you get the more chance in European market. It's hurdles, yes, existed. You should be overcome. We can do it.
Thank you. Hyunse?
Yeah, I was just take 2 parts. The first one is balancing between a global firm and being an international firm. So are we going to do the same thing all around the globe? Are we going to make it as efficient as possible? Or are we going to localize it as an international firm? So these balances were quite challenging to do that. And also the second point would be about reaching out to local SMEs, so-called hidden champions, as the other terms. It was not really easy compared to reaching out to the large corporations in Germany. It is even more challenging actually to reach out to these SMEs that are very stably making revenue, and they can be a very long-lasting partnership. But that was the biggest hurdle. But I think there is the biggest opportunity, as Sebastian mentioned, for South Korean startups to please reach out to those regions, and I think there will be a lot of success over there. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Please give the panelists another round of applause for their insights and contribution to this session.
Thank you.
Now it has come to the end. I want to thank all the speakers, panelists, and especially you, the audience, for your engagement and participation. We hope you've had valuable insights today, and thanks again, and have a nice day.
Thank you.